shatter. Let the bodies hit the floor. Uprising Academy at 95%.
Right now with Hydra building up to this Bear Barrage so quickly.
Oh!
And asking!
Double kill in the back with the pulse bomb from the high ground. Aerial assault with that mine.
Impact se escucha de abajo gritar campeón a Sky Foxes.
Holy cow.
And after 42 consecutive losses, the Shanghai Dragons get their first win.
8 teams enter this weekend.
Oh no, Reinhardt, what are you doing?
We got a clip with minimal information. It's time to break it down. Speed, 25%. Go. Figure out what this man's SR is.
Keep fighting till it's for sure lost. Winnable!
Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Pluto Cup. Please make sure all tray tables are in their upright position and monitors are at optimal viewing angles as we are about to launch. My name is Bull Skunk. Alongside Misfit, we will be your captains through this Overwatch journey here today. As we've got a couple of teams from some of your favorite streamers here to go head-to-head, and what's sure to be a very fun event.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to this. This is going to be a couple of streamers communities getting to face off in a little bit of a sub-tournament. I'm really excited. We've got some great content creators here and some great players to come out for. For those of you that don't know the way this tournament is set up, we plan to have 4 communities kind of face off in a tournament, but unfortunately we're not able to get enough signups for our Argaze and Elo Hell's communities, so they have joined forces into Sake Nation and Elo Hell, which is going to be fun. They will be a joint team in this tournament. And then on the other side, we have SVB's team in the 1 slot and Toniki's team in the 3 slot.
And we're going to start off with Team TNK, Taniki's team, going up against the super team of Sake Nation and Elo Hell in a one-map thriller to see who gets to off against Team SVB's. As we take a look at our rosters here today, Taniki's team will be Hayabusa and Poke leading the charge in the tank department. We'll have Ryujin and Furious doing the hurt, and Belision and Jadette keeping the team alive and well. On the other side, we're looking at Skater Cat and Alve. Going to be the front lines for Sake Nation and EHE. Nutty Nanza and Huna will be putting the hurt down, with Martek and Dizzy doing the healing.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see what these players can pull out, and I'm excited to see what comps we get to see from either of these teams. You know, most of these communities are from very, very educational streamers who like to, you know, teach their viewers. So I'm interested to know what metas each of these teams will pull out. Obviously, we have been seeing, you know, the Sigma ball be very, very strong as of late. Sigma recently getting nerfed and giving rise to some more Ball Hog, Ball Zarya compositions. So I'm excited to see what the meta is for this individual tournament.
Yeah, with Sigma getting those nerfs, it feels like it's kind of up in flux. You know, we've seen a lot of Ball Diva with the NEXT tournament that's been going on over the weekend. Got a chance to get a little sneak peek at what the pros are running. And it was a lot of Ball Diva, even a touch of some double bubble. So I am definitely curious to see what the teams bring out, though they may not stick to meta here. You know, this is a fun event. And, you know, maybe they pull out just some comfort picks. But we want to know your opinion in chat. Let us know who you think is gonna take this first match. You can place your bets, put your money where your mouth is, and maybe win some channel points while you're at it.
Yeah, no, I definitely do like that chat bet feature. It's very helpful when I'm trying to get all those points saved up for special events and such. But you know, back to the talk about meta. I do want to touch a little bit on like what's good right now at the highest levels of play. We have been seeing Ball as of late. He's very, very strong. Even with the nerfs to his shield, he's still a very, very powerful character, really survivable, and the way he engages with that pile drive just makes it really easy for dive DPS to follow up and get kills, especially when paired with a Discord Orb or a Mercy damage boost. But we have been seeing some double bubble very, very recently, and I was kind of confused on that because I didn't think there was any way Winston could compete with the survivability that Ball has. But what I've found out actually is that with proper team coordination and really good timing, if the Winston is able to live through that first dive, that first engage onto an enemy team, the double bubble composition is actually much better than the ball Zarya, but it's also a lot harder to run. So I think the ball Zarya is what we'll see from more teams that aren't as used to that, but at the highest levels of play, I think we will see that double bubble come out.
All right, and our best of one opening qualifier will take place on Nepal. Get your parkas. It's going to get cold. It's going to get snowy. And it's going to get brutal as we head into our first and only map in this best of one series. Looks like we're starting off on Village.
Yeah, Village could be a very brawl-heavy map. We have seen, Symmetra May be good here, Orisa Ryan. That was a comp for a long time. And it looks like we will be seeing a brawl, at least on one side here. On the side of RA and Elo Hell, we will see Kiro and Audrey going with that Ryan Zarya. So I'm excited to see how that works against the ball Sigma that we're seeing from Team toniki.
Yeah, I think our team names might be swapped up top.
Oh, they are.
So you do have Sake Nation and Elo Hell in the blue jerseys right now as we hop on here with Team TNK. Kiro on that Reinhardt. Going in, swinging. See if they can go get some point presence with this extra Lucio speed. They're able to get there first. It could be also important in these early maps. These early fights, rather.
Yeah, no, definitely a big thing is being able to establish point control, especially with this brawl composition. They don't want to be in open space against this dive-heavy composition of the ball Sigma.
But the Mei going down early could be disastrous. And it is indeed Sake Nation EHE finding multiple picks despite the early advantage positionally. And TNK do manage to sneak in first cap. Believe it or not, they'll get maybe 5% before it gets flipped right back over. Sake Nation EHE do indeed take that point right back.
Yeah, this is definitely a problem here for Team TNK because now the ball, the Sigma, or not, excuse me, the ball, the Echo, and the Tracer are going to have a lot of room to work with here. What you're going to see them do is they're going to want to engage on this brawl comp while they're still in open space. Of course, as I say that, they switch off the brawl and they will be running the ball Zarya themselves. They still do have that Lucio, which will put them at a slight disadvantage here since they won't be able to utilize the speed.
Well, and it's going to allow room for Ake FDD to really just run wild the backline, not having to worry about a Brig. As we're looking at Nutty with a duplicate already online and ready to go. Those mines as well, but two quick picks coming through for TNK. Does get answered right back, but the Brig's out of the picture. So TNK with a big opportunity to come in here and clean up, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Finding yet another kill. The Echo not even needing to, not able to get that duplicate off there for Sake Nation.
Yeah, that comp switch was pretty good for TNK. I like what they did there, not sticking with the brawl composition. It was going to be very, very hard to try to run that into the composition that we're seeing from Argay and Elo Hell right now. And even though the ult advantage is in favor of Elo Hell right now, I do think TNK has the positional advantage, and if they can utilize that well enough, I think they should be able to win this fight despite the ult advantage.
It's a pretty massive ult advantage, though. Still got those aforementioned ults, and the mines coming out now. Also a Transcendence available for Sake Nation EHE as they come back in. Looks like the sound barrier is going to get used to try to keep TNK up in this fight. Duplicate onto the Hammond. So there are two Wrecking Balls on the field. That's a lot of disruption. That's a lot of wrecking coming through. Graviton Surge thrown in. The extra set of mines out as well. And a pair of kills falling under those explosives. Looks like Sake Nation trying to keep themselves in it, but slowly, surely, they're losing this fight. TNK continues to build up percentage as they pass that 60% mark.
Gyarados there with the huge dupe, showing the power of Echo. And that duplicate is a very, very feast or famine ultimate. You either get a character and get that ultimate right away, or it can take you a long time and you end up wasting it. They're able to get quite a bit of value out of it with those mines, those duplicate mines, finding a lot of picks in that fight for the team.
And Sake Nation and Elo Hell used all of their ultimates, aside from the Flux that came out late at the fight, but they no longer have any of those DPS ults to come back in with, and Argay goes down immediately. Alve falls as well, a quick +2. And with the trade in, that maintains, and TNK maintains their control.
Yeah, now they're well on their way to taking this point. They should have everything they need, barring a hero stall here from Elo Hell. But this looks like it will be round one of Nepal, going the way of TNK. That switch, the comp switch there after the comp was very, very good. It looked like Elo Hell kind of got caught off guard there. I don't think that they scouted the change to the Ball Zarya composition, and TNK was able to take them off guard and then just win every fight after that.
Yeah, very important swap indeed. And it's important they made it early. You know, they didn't try to force the brawl composition. They immediately recognized it, immediately made the changes, and it served them well. They're able to come back in, take the point, and maintain control all the way through. Now they're just one round away from moving on and facing Team SVBs.
Yeah, no, and I think this point will definitely. I think this could, this is a very, very difficult point to run this composition on. I think the Sigma is a little bit more valuable than the Zarya. The Zarya just doesn't have the same range as the Sigma, and especially on this map where you can kind of like play around the pit, it's very big. But the fake FDD is actually gonna throw himself off the map. It looked like he was trying to do a rollout and didn't go the way he planned it.
Yeah, probably looking for that outside rollout. I've failed on that one a couple times myself. You got to land it just right. FDD does not hit the mark and puts his team at an immediate disadvantage. Huna feels the results going down in the Tracer duel as well. And Team toniki are moving in to try to claim this point. They just got to deal with Ave on this Sigma. Yeah, well, they're going to clean up everybody else around the Sigma, and Alve is just desperately trying to back out of there with his life.
Yeah, and the Choya already has that pulse bomb built up, doing absolute work in that fight for Team toniki. And now, once again, we see that they're in control of this. I'm going to have to see where they set up here, though. If they hold too close, they'll put themselves at a disadvantage. But if they give up too space and allow the side of Sake Nation to set up their dives, I think they could put themselves at a disadvantage. This is what I was talking about. This comp is very hard to hold on this map because there's just not a lot of good spots for the Zarya to set up.
Yeah, it's not like a brawl comp where you can just shield up the front choke and hold your ground. Be choosy, but toniki are making it work as they're just picking Elo Hell, Sake Nation apart one by one as they try to come through said choke. Doing a great job with the push and pull. They're using a duplicate to get that extra flux on board just to seal the deal. 43% and counting on the board.
Yeah, and another big duplicate there from Gyarados. He's been using those very, very well in this match so far. The Flux is such a good ult to dupe. It's just such a powerful ultimate, and he's able to find the value with it there and give his team another fight win.
And a slight advantage there for Team toniki is there's not as good a duplicate choice here for Nutty Nanza to choose from. Does have that ultimate online and ready to go. The Torbjorn pick we haven't really got a chance to address yet. You know, be good at handling both the Tracer as well as putting some pressure on the Wrecking Ball as Kuro throws the mines down, just deny entrance for Sake Nation and EHE as they try to push in here. Oh, Gami falls. What a great pick from Gyarados. Going to deny so much value, so much sustain from Sake Nation. It's going to make it very difficult for them to come in and retake. Duplicate was used onto the Diva. That self-destruct is out, but it's not going to do much other than perhaps a little bit of zoning. A couple of support ults online to try to win this fight. But Sake Nation and Elo Hell looking like they're fighting an uphill battle. That Transcendent's coming out as well as the Valk as we're in last fight territory. But Gyarados duplicated the Zenyatta and was able to get the Transcendence of their own to keep them in that fight, to deny that advantage. And it's enough to get them the victory here on Nepal. Team toniki will move on to face Team SVB.
Yeah, that was a pretty clean win there from Team toniki. They looked much stronger overall than Sake Nation and Elo Hell. I think on that second map, that final fight there, I think the big thing was being able to take out Gami on that Mercy while they had the Valkyrie. That Valkyrie is such a good ultimate with this composition. It's basically a budget team-wide supercharger, and because of how survivable each character is, even the 60 heals per second of that Valkyrie is typically enough to keep them alive through any damage they could be taking. So being able to take that out so early in that fight when it was so crucial for Sake Nation to be able to get that off, I think that was a really, really big pick for them that allowed them to win that game.
Priority pick indeed. Heads up play, and they are moving on. We're going to take a short break while we get that set up, but we're going to return with Team toniki taking on Team SVBs.
So you queue up for Overwatch Ranked, only to be greeted by this, which then leads to this, and oh no, Reinhardt, what are you doing? The solution? ELO Hell pickup games.
Hey, you know what? Just what you're doing.
Oh my god, it's huge! Oh! Kill! Let's go!
Open to players of all ranks and most platforms, Pugs give you the chance to experience competitive Overwatch as it was meant to be played. Competitively.
I need help.
I'm with you.
Shoot.
No way, dude.
Go. Let's go. Nice. Good call.
Players set their icons to indicate the role they want to play, then two captains pick their teammates and draft the most competitive teams they can. You can also take part in our pioneering learning event, Coached Pugs. To take part, join the ELO Hell Pickup Games Discord, and be sure to read the Pug Guide and FAQ. Good luck, have fun, and we'll see you in-game.
We have returned for our second match here in Pluto Cup Season 5 in the EU region. Tim toniki coming off of that win on Nepal, going up against Team SVBs, our current champion of Pluto Cup.
Yeah, no, and Team toniki looked pretty good there on that first map, and they'll definitely have the advantage coming into this one of having that warm up of, getting the flow of things, being able to calm like a team and play in like a real actual match rather than just, warm up in practice range or anything that SVB's team has been doing. But still, SVB's, reigning champions. We'll see how they do going in here. SVB, obviously a very, very educational streamer. Talks a lot about Coach Andy's team on his streams and in his server. So I have no doubt that the players from his server will definitely be more than ready for any challenge that comes their way.
As we take a look at our rosters here, we just saw Team toniki. Let's touch on the SVBs. As we're showing Flo and Stingria going into the damage department. Von Schneider and Sneaky Snack leading the charge on the front line with Willard and Marin doing the healing. Now, as I'm looking in, looks like that's Team toniki. We got some subs, so not quite exactly what we're seeing on screen as we saw in our last match, but SVB's solid. That's what you can expect as you are once again able to place your bets on which of these two rosters you think will be moving on into the winner's bracket and which ones are going down to face Saki Nation and EHE in the lower bracket.
Yeah, and our map here for this next match is going to be Busan. And Busan is one of those maps where, a lot of different things get played, just like every control map where each kind of round has its own meta. Busan is very much that applies there. We have Mecha Base, which is a very, very brawl heavy map, very enclosed space. Not as good for the Zarya composition, but it can still find value. And then you have Sanctuary and Downtown, which will most likely see the Zarya that we saw in the last match get played. I expect nothing other than that. There's too much open space to work with. I think either team would just be better off running that hybrid dive composition rather than anything fancy with like a brawl or anything like that. But I'm excited. This tournament is not this is an Overwatch league. You don't need to run perfect meta in order to win games. As we saw, Team toniki winning there with a very unorthodox Mercy Lucio composition. So I'm excited to see what each of these teams gives us for this match.
Well, and the support line is really the important factor in this comp. You tend to run the Brig Zen specifically to deal with that Wrecking Ball. You can pull out that Mercy, as we saw. As you mentioned, that Valk can be really powerful in this highly mobile composition. But then you're able to bolster the Echo a bit, but you kind of leave your Zenyatta wide open in doing so. So really, I'm keeping an eye on the support line to see how they cope and what they choose to run out with.
Yeah, no, I think that's an excellent point. I see a lot of talk about, Mercy being better only at the highest level. And the reason for that is, Brig, compared to Mercy at the highest level, only really gets value if she's engaged on. She can't really do anything to Ball or Tracer unless they're actually in her range, in her face after they've engaged, right? But Mercy has much more uptime. She's much more survivable. Brig being immobile, if an Echo, Tracer, and Ball all dive her, she's not going to survive that with her 200 HP pool. But she can prevent with the help of Sigma and Zen. She can help prevent or keep her teammates alive for just a little bit longer. But the Mercy is just overall survivable, right? Like she has Guardian Angel, she can get reses off if someone does end up dying. She can damage boost the Echo, which just allows that Echo to do so much damage. So it's kind of a trade off there that you have to balance when you're picking your support line.
I'm very curious to see what happens when this experimental card goes live as well, because essentially all the above mentioned, aside from Mercy, are getting some nerfs. The Zenyatta taking a big hit as well with that Discord Orb, not only losing 5% of its damage boost, but will travel slower through space and time to reach its targets. So I'm very curious to see how that meta is going to shake up. But for right now, we are on the live patch. I do expect to see more of that Tracer Echo and to see how the support lines work together. The synergy between your two supports is so important, whether you choose to bring the Brig or the Mercy. So it's going to really rely on some killer teamwork and some good peel from the front line as well.
Yeah, I'm curious to know how the experimental will actually change things. We can separate balance changes into micro changes and macro changes. Macro changes are things that change how a comp fundamentally plays, and micro changes are more of it makes a character slightly worse at something they already do. So a good example of this would be the Ball and Sigma changes that we just got on this patch. Sigma getting his shield change. Well, that's a macro change, right? Because then that core of the Brig, the Zen, and the Sigma, they don't have as much freedom to move around because that shield cannot be redeployed as quickly. But the Ball change that we got with just the shield nerf, that's more of a micro change. Ball still plays the exact same way he did before the patch. He's just slightly worse at it because he can't live as long with those shields. So I'm curious to know whether or not the Tracer and Echo changes will fundamentally change how they're able to play in this composition, or if it'll just be they're slightly worse at what they did before.
As we take a look at our map pool, this is going to be a 1-2 series starting on Busan. Will be the loser pick after that. So a little bit chance for a comeback here as we move further into Season 5 of the Pluto Cup. If you drop Busan, you can still bring it back on some of our more objective-oriented map types.
Yeah, this is mecha-based. This is what I was talking about. This is a very brawl-heavy map. Even throughout all our metas, I think we've seen brawl here, especially at an elo like this. And I think, both these teams are looking to opt for that brawl. Just a very, very fundamental composition, very easy to run, even with players you're not used to playing with. Everybody understands how to play brawl. You pretty much just throw your cooldowns out and press W at its most basic form. Obviously, it's slightly more complicated than that. But it's very, very easy to understand. There's no quirky these three people have to play like a brawl comp and these three have to play like a dive. Everyone just kind of wants to stay together and hold W and get onto their opponents. So I'm excited to see a nice brawl v brawl here, some classic Overwatch coming out.
Well, we're looking at Brawl indeed with SVBs pulling out the Reaper and the McCree. They should have an early fight advantage, but if toniki can win this, they should be able to hold as they use that Mei to be able to seal up the chokes and an early wall, trying to give them the advantage right out of the gate, but they're not quite able to capitalize. Another difference in these compositions is going to be the BAP versus the Moira. So more damage once again for SVBs, but that's extra sustain to the Moira might be able to keep Team toniki in this fight longer.
Yeah, and it's all going to come down to how they can play around Gyarados' wall here. If they're able to get the value of it, they'll play very, very quickly. But if they don't really find a good wall, they'll have to play much slower than the much more W-focused SVB's composition. That Reaper, that Kree can press W much more often, and we see it right there as they're able to take down the enemy Rhine.
Right as Kiro drops Shatter as well, Coalescence invested from toniki, but in the end, missing the Reinhardt doesn't seem to matter. This Team toniki is able to find the kills. Gyarados coming up with a pair on the back end and is approaching that Blizzard.
Yeah, that Blizzard's going to be a very, very a big ultimate here, especially because Audrey has not built up a lot of that Graviton Surge. In these tight chokes that the enemy Brawl Cup has to engage through, that Blizzard can easily find 3 or 4 people and just win a fight on its own.
Wall up, trying to separate the front from the back, but Von Schneider was able to bait it out and get on the right side of the tracks, but then runs into a lot of damage as the charge comes through. Stingray's going to drop the Death Blossom. Even the odds, in fact, give the favor back, and then here comes the swap back to the again. Choya with a big 2-man Deadeye, giving the advantage right on over to toniki as they maintain control of this objective.
Yeah, very, very heads-up play there from Choya, seeing that he needs to invest that high nude into this fight. It seemed like it could be winnable for them anyway, but it's fine not to risk it, especially with the ult economy that they have. They still have both their support ults and that Grav coming online, so I think that was a very, very smart investment from him there. And now it's going to come down to how well these walls are, but the walls once again splits the team perfectly.
Nicely done. Graviton Surge thrown in. Coalescence, Earth Shatter. A lot of ultimates coming out from Team toniki. Graviton Surge in response from the other side, and actually the one death is going to favor SVBs as a beautiful Immortality Field was enabled to help them survive the onslaught early. But as the 5v5 unfolds, it's still Team toniki coming up on top. Audrey on this Zarya just burning down the opposition and keeping toniki in firm control.
Yeah, and once again, toniki just doing an excellent job there of utilizing this Mei wall. Like I mentioned, these Mei walls are very, very important because what it allows the team to do is once you get that wall up, you can play super, super fast into the people you isolate. But if you mess that wall up, you're at a really big disadvantage for about 12 seconds until that cooldown comes back. But time after time, Gyarados is finding the value with this wall and is able to really give his team big advantages in these fights.
Coming up on one last chance for SVBs to take this opening round, and Audrey continues to give them trouble. Is able to find that early pick onto the Lucio, slow down the whole composition. It makes for easy pickings for the rest of the engagement. Team toniki will take Mecha Base in an early 1-0 lead on this map.
Yeah, and toniki just looks like they're on fire right now. They look unstoppable. It was 100-0 on this first map. SVBs didn't even have a chance. And I think we might see a flip here. Obviously, this is a brawl map. And we haven't seen what SVBs can do on the more meta composition yet, which, this next map, Sanctuary, does favor quite a bit. So I'm curious to know what the swaps are for SVBs, what they can look to pull out here. Because now they're, it's do or die for them. They have to win these next two maps if they want to take this map. This is a 1-2 set, so these maps are much more important than they would be in a typical 1-3. If you lose a map, you're putting yourself at a really big disadvantage early. So, both teams here looking to vie for the top spot in this match.
And Team SVBs are going to indeed swap over to what I've dubbed the rock and roll comp of the Sigma Wrecking Ball with the Tracer Echo, and they're going to bring the Brig as opposed to the Mercy in this composition. Team toniki sticking with the Reinhardt, but bringing Audrey on the Diva this time. A bit of a surprising pick. I mean, it works well as far as compositionally, but Audrey was doing so much work on that Zarya.
Yeah, no, I think the Diva will be a little bit better at shutting down the Echo, being able to eat those stickies, and just generally deal with the aerial presence. But I think the Brawl comp might not be a very good pick here, personally.
Yeah, we'll see if they're able to isolate some targets, see if they can burn them down, but it's... not looking good so far. So Choya falls early, and Morin's able to find one as well. Both DPS off the battlefield here for Team toniki. They are able to claim one on the other side, but the rest of the kill feed looks to be lighting up all blue. The Zenyatta is down, but in the end, it's not going to be enough to win the fight. Team SVBs will flip this point.
Yeah, SVB's comp is just much, much better than what toniki is running. The Brawl composition, you saw it there. They they got control of Drum, and they stuck around there. But what happened was they couldn't leave it, because as soon as they do, they got engaged on by the Ball, the Echo, the Tracer, and their backline just fell apart. They lost both their DPS early on, and from there, it was just very difficult for them to win that fight.
Duplicate use onto the Reinhardt, but the best target you could get. And immediately, the Shatter's ready to go. Oh, no. That is brutal. Hero on their back, somehow able to stay alive. So much sustained coming through. And Nichoya able to pick up one, the D-Mech as well. So no more tanks on the battlefield, no more Echo, and well, there are no more team there for SVBs. The whole team's gone. They're all back in spawn, Misfit.
Yeah, Warzone there, easily the MVP of that fight. Excellent use of the Coalescence there, keeping their team alive. They're able to save that beat. And now they're actually in a pretty decent spot here. If they can, push their advantage to a good position here, they still have to be aware because they are in this open space, and if they're caught in rotation by SVB's comp, they're going to fall apart quickly. But if they're able to utilize the ults they have right now, they should be able to win this fight pretty easily.
We'll see if they can work through the rally armor as Morin is pumping up the team. Here comes the Transcendence as well, trying to push in. The Shatter was out there. We're not able to confirm anything. Once Shatter does get taken out of the back, it's going to allow Team toniki to keep their attention focused forward at this late in the fight. They got a Graviton Surge to deal with, but the Deadeye's going to come out and take down Flo. So a quick 2 picks here for Team toniki. They're looking to hang on. Self-destruct gold lessons thrown in just to aid in that matter. It's just a lot of ults invested from Team TNK in that fight, but they are going to maintain control, at least for the moment.
Yeah, and they will want a couple of those back because now SVBs has a very, very good ult economy. We see Stingray back on with that duplicate. Might actually, I didn't know that they would be able to get out here. And Von Schneider, of course, has those mines and, Pulse Bomb available for flow. So, if they can find value with these ultimates, they should be able to win this fight. A lot of ways to use these ultimates. You can get very creative with them. But, this is a last fight scenario here. If they don't win this fight, they will end up losing this map.
It's going to be a duplicate onto the Reinhardt to start things off. 3 tanks on the battlefield here for Team SVB as they go into the fight. Moving on to the objective. And Earth Shatter as well as mines invested in, but the sound barrier is there on the other side. So far, looks like Team toniki are staying in this fight. Not sure Stinger was able to get much value out of that duplicate. I mean, even despite choosing one of the best targets on the other side, they weren't quite able to confirm a whole lot of kills. Wallard is able to get one, but this fight looks to be drawing out as the overtime wicket is burning, and Team toniki still maintaining control of this objective.
And they've been doing an excellent job with this Brawl comp surviving SVB's dives, and it's been really, really fun to watch. Brawl is definitely not a composition we see this on a lot, but Flo actually has something to say about that and is finding Gyarados in the back line. The picks are still going the way of Team toniki.
Yeah, they are able to close it out. They maintain control. They take our opening map. And an early lead on our champions. So that's a good start. A good start for Team toniki. So far, looking pretty flawless here in the Pluto Cup.
Definitely the way they wanted to start this off. I had my doubts about that Brawl composition, but, they did an excellent job of staying alive. I think SVB's could have done a better job about the way they chose to engage with that composition. It felt like their dives were they weren't poorly timed. They were just like, there was enough of a disconnect between the ball and the 2 DPS of the Echo Tracer that they weren't able to find the picks when they needed to find them. The sustain that Brawl comp has, that Moira, it just makes them, if you don't kill something, it's going to get healed back up to full very quickly, right? That's just the way Moira works. I don't really like the design of that character because it's just way too forgiving. But their team TNK is making great use of it, and they're able to punish those mistakes of SVBs. If they want to get back in this match, I think they do need to clean up those dives onto the more immobile targets much better. They need to be diving more as a unit so that they can pick something off before the Moira has the chance to save it. And I think that could give them the advantage in this match. But right now, Team TNK is just stomping through Pluto Cup.
Yeah, pulling out the Brawl here, we were talking that, comfort picks, comfort comps might be the way to go here. You have to run exactly what's meta, and toniki showing it in spades. Is the Brawl comp surprising to me? I think both of us, it ends up giving them a 2-0 win on Busan.
And now we will be getting into Gibraltar for our next map, which I think is going to be a good map pick for SVBs. We saw that they like to opt for the Ball Sigma composition more, and the Team TNK will not be able to run their Brawl on this map. There's just too much high ground to exploit, way too much open space. Sanctuary, you can get away with Brawl occasionally because it is a very flat map. It's somewhat okay to run a Brawl there, even though there's a lot of open space because it's very one-dimensional and you don't need to worry about controlling high ground. The Brawl comp still works there, but on a map where there's a ton of high ground and the Brawl comp just needs to rotate so excessively in order to actually put themselves in a good spot, the advantage goes clearly in favor of a composition like that Ball Sigma.
Yeah. I mean, that high ground is just too important. So I expect to see Ball Sigma coming out from both teams, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I would definitely expect that as well.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, my question is, do you sub anything else out? Do you try to bring in some different DPS to work with? Do you think the Tracer Echo is still the way to go?
I personally just think Tracer Echo is the best in every situation. I think it's just too hard. We do see some damage boosted Ashes from time to time. Of course, with her recent nerf, she no longer one-shot squishies. So we typically see teams opt for a Hanzo when they want a sniper pick. Widow just a little bit too squishy against a Wrecking Ball and an Echo now. But, I don't think that really works very well. You can get away with it on a map like this because there's a lot of high ground to exploit. But personally, I just think having both the dive DPS of Echo and Tracer is just way too valuable. If one DPS doesn't find the value on a dive, on a well-coordinated dive, the other one definitely will. And, Echo's just got that focusing beam, which really, really helps against characters with a lot of healing. I definitely think Echo Tracer is the way to go here. But, part of the beauty of Overwatch is there's more than one way to win. So we'll get to see what each of these teams chooses to be their weapon in this next fight.
And do we even get to see the double bubble? Do we get to see some Winston? I love watching some fantastic Winston play. I feel like WPG is Winston's playground. So I mean, maybe some wishful thinking on my part, admittingly, but fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
No, I definitely could see it, honestly. Double Bubble coming back into the meta now that it's a little bit easier for Winston to survive, especially on the next patch. I think Double Bubble will be the meta just because that Discord nerf coming through and the focusing beam as well. I think Winston will be able to survive a lot better. And you mentioned it, Watchpoint Gibraltar, definitely one of Winston's best maps just because of how easy it is for him to engage on that high ground. Ball maybe can't find the same value. There's a lot of weird high ground that's hard for him to roll through to disrupt. He can pile drive just fine, but he can't get those nice little boops off his grapple. But I still think first point's a place where we could see the ball get run. There's a boop you can do if teams are playing on gray crate, that first crate overlooking the very first choke. Then the ball can boot them all off into his team, which is a very, very useful tactic. Getting a team composition, like the Sigma, the Brig, the Zen, getting them all onto low ground on a map like this, that just spells death for them. But again, up to these teams. They're going to have to be the ones who choose their own destiny here with the comps they pull out. And I'm excited to see the differences we get to see between these two streamers' communities.
And just a reminder, this is a 1-2. So Team toniki on match point here in our winners semifinals. Team SVB is looking to bring it back, see if they can maintain their championship, see if they can defend their crown heading into Watchpoint Gibraltar. We will get a swap sides, so we'll have Team SVB in the red jerseys this time around and starting us off on the attack. Our teams are just finalizing, getting a little set up, and we'll get into Watchpoint Gibraltar shortly.
Yeah, no, I can't say enough. My excitement for this map. Watchpoint Gibraltar is definitely one of my favorite maps in the game. I just think it's a very unique map in comparison to all the other maps. Typically, when we see, for the most part, while current things are meta, Watchpoint Gibraltar is a very off-meta map. So I'm very excited to see if off-meta does get played here or if it's, just the typical meta. I personally actually like watching the current meta. I don't like playing it very much. It's very hard as a flex sport player to have fun in a meta like this where you're just getting dove on by 8 different people. But it's very fun to watch. It's a very beautiful composition to just watch and break down and analyze because it plays so interestingly. It's so creative with the way it can play. There's no one best way to do things. It's all down to player creativity. So I think it's a very, very interesting meta.
Well, speaking of meta, on defense, we are going to get the Zarya with the Wrecking Ball. Is there a clever name for this composition? We got to come up with a clever name for this composition, Misfit.
I mean, the one that I would come up with would be Bubble Bath, personally. I just find that, fun. I think that was what Double Bubble should have been called, personally. I just liked it more, because, there's a bubble and there's a bloodbath when they dive. I don't know. That was what I liked, personally. I'm not a very creative person. That's why I do color casting and not play-by-play.
Well, coming out of offense, I get my wish. We've got the Winston out of the gate. Looking like well, never mind. You baited me. You get my hopes up, and then you dash them. I'm pulling out the Hammond. It's all right. Some quality Hammond play is a joy to watch as well as both of our Wrecking Balls going toe-to-toe on the objective. Gyarados here for Team TNK was moving in, trying to use that focus beam. Doesn't quite get the Wrecking Ball, but is able to demech the Diva. So a good start for the defense is I'd say the more stable of the composition, the less mobile the composition, so far prevailing, but a good shot from the Widowmaker's Flow is able to take Nichoya down.
Yeah, definitely going to give them an advantage here. Nichoya is a big part of that damage, a big part of the dives for Team TNK, and now them being out of the fight could spell disaster.
Echo up top, throwing down a flurry of sticky bombs. See if they can deback the Diva once again. Looks like they got it. Oh, wait, no, did not quite. Beautiful healing coming through from the Mercy, who's about to have that Valkyrie ready to go. But Gyarados is able to find the kill onto the Wrecking Ball. And there you go, pair of kills for the Zenyatta as well, sniping out the Widowmaker. What a play there from Agapido on the Zen.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful play. That Zen, we typically think of them as the dive target for this comp, but they're actually a very scary character themselves, can output a lot of damage with those Discords, especially on this current patch where that is still 30% buff. And, if you don't take care of a Zen, they can easily outsnipe Widowmakers and basically any other character on the field.
Another D-Mech coming through. My goodness, Sneaky Snack is just struggling to stay mech. I feel like they're doing more time in Pilot Diva form with the Bunny Blaster. And as Gyarados is going to drop that duplicate. This time onto a Tracer. Going in for the backline, looking to hunt it down. Gets the stick! Gets the double! What a play! Oh no, mercy! Morin just flew right into the Zenyatta, trying to avoid the Pulse Bomb and end up sacrificing them both to the Overwatch gods.
Yeah, Gyarados has been very, very consistently solid on this Echo. Definitely a characteristic you want from your DPS players is that consistency. We saw him in the last game popping off left and right. But once again, there is able to find that key Pulse Bomb to help his team win. And now Team toniki is in a very, very comfortable position with only 1:30 left for SVBs.
SUVs do have a couple of ults online. Duplicate some minds of their own, and more importantly than those, Transcendence available to go. Could be a big fight turner. Might want to save that for the Graviton Surge. May not even need the Graviton Surge. Gyarados comes up with a pair of kills early, plus a D-Mech. Gyarados continues to impress on this Echo. He's such a difficult character to play, and Gyarados is making it look easy.
Yeah, I want to make it clear, I know a lot of people really don't like that character and are happy she's getting nerfed. I want to make it abundantly clear that everything we're seeing Gyarados do right now, he's still going to be able to do on the next patch. That focusing beam nerf is not going to change this character's power level that much. This is still a very, very terrifying character to go up against. And Gyarados really showing out right now.
Certainly against the squishies, like the reduced time on the focusing beam may affect the ability to burn down tanks, but I agree with you. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a big enough difference to take Echo out of the meta. As we see, Audrey's able to burn down that Winston, an important kill, and that's just going to stop SVB's attack in their tracks. SVB struggling to even get out of the door, Misfit.
Yeah, no, this is where it really gets dangerous here. You know, you have a lot of ults here, but right now you haven't been able to even get to the cart without losing someone. But this actually might be just what the doctor ordered, as Gyarados is going to fall to Stingray's stickies.
Better late than never. Gapados is going to answer back. When the Zenyatta duel, that one was huge. Weller was holding that Transcendent. Stingray using the duplicate onto the Wrecking Ball, a pair on the field for SVBs, but they can't get through Audrey. Audrey finds 4 in the fight, looking for the 5th. Well, at least looking to take the Echo out of duplicate 4. I mean, SVBs are in a desperate situation here. If they can't get this cart pushed any further, which it doesn't look like they will, that's going to do it. This cart barely even made it around the first corner.
And that's just a textbook way to run this composition here from Team toniki. The reason the Zarya has recently become a very powerful character is because of the interactions her bubbles have with Ball. It's much easier to keep a Zenyatta alive from a pile drive when he doesn't get booped up in the air. You know, a Sigma can only do so much with his grasp and his rock and his damage to keep a Zen safe when he gets dove on. You know, he can't shield from all 3 angles. He can't grasp everything while that character's in the air. But, you know, if you put an allied bubble on your Zen that's getting dove, he doesn't get booped up by pile drive, which is really important because, you know, that kind of clears the air for those dive DPS to really find the pick. And being able to bubble the dive targets of that ball makes it much harder for that composition to find the picks and find the value that makes it so strong. So we've been seeing Zarya there solely because of her peel just being so good compared to other off tanks. You know, we'd still see some Sigma on long range maps. We've seen some Hog, some Diva here and there, but that's why Zarya has been talked about to be the primary off tank right now. And Audrey's really making it work, getting a lot of charge off of these engages from SVBs and really putting the hurt down when it matters most.
Well, and not only can you bubble your own dive targets, but you could bubble your Wrecking Ball as they go in for the dive as well. Wrecking Ball is so vulnerable, or most vulnerable, at the end of that pile driver in that predictable line of motion. So you bubble him, then he does not get stunned. It just enables your Wrecking Ball to do so much more in the backline. I mean, the Zarya indeed looking really strong in this comp right now. We're going to see it again as Team toniki come out on the attack.
Yeah, SVBs is running a very unorthodox defense here. I would assume this is just comfort picks. I can't imagine a reason to run Doomfist right now on this map, and as I say, that float is going to fall early on to Agapido.
Yeah, trying to run the metal dive with the Wrecking Ball on the Diva, but the Diva's going to get demeched immediately as Gyarados continues their reign of terror. Can anybody stop this Echo? Like, this is just nuts. Oh! Is Warzone even getting into the mix? It's able to get the kill with the Mercy. You love to see it. That's going to do it. Team toniki have claimed the second match with ease, continue their perfect streak through Season 5 of the Pluto Cup.
Yeah, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. They just look unstoppable right now. They look very, very clean on these dives. Every player on this team is pulling their weight. There's no clear carry. We can talk about Gyarados and Audrey really putting the hurt down. But Sports are doing a good job staying alive. It's really hard to survive dives as a Zen, and Agibito's putting himself in really good spots, finding kills with zone. Kiro's here with these great engages. Warzon's doing an excellent job finding these reses, getting the value out of the Mercy there. So Team TNK right now looks like to win it, but we will be throwing it down to a losers final between SVBs and Sake Nation and Elo Hell. So we'll see. Both these teams looking for a chance for redemption. They want the Rundeck versus Team TNK in the grand finals, and I'm excited to see which team really comes out on top.
And in season 4 of the Pluto Cup, Team SVBs really took it to Team EHE. So I know Sake Nation and Elo Hell, well, they want some revenge against Team SVB, and they're going to get their chance, as we will see those two teams face off in the losers bracket. When we return, we're going to take a short break, set up that match, and we will return here with some more Pluto Cup.